Treaty of Guadalupe, Hidalgo of 1848, Treaty of Peace, Friendship, Limits, and Settlement between the United States of America and the United Mexican States concluded at Guadalupe, Hidalgo, February 2, 1848. Ratification advised by Senate, with amendments, March 10, 1848. Ratified by President, March 16, 1848. Ratifications exchanged at Querétaro, May 30, 1848. Proclaimed, July 4, 1848. In the name of Almighty God, the United States of America, and the United Mexican States, animated by a sincere desire to put an end to the calamities of the war which unhappily exists between the two republics, and to establish upon a solid basis relations of peace and friendship, which shall confer reciprocal benefits upon the citizens of both, and assure the concord, harmony, and mutual confidence, wherein the two people should live, as good neighbors have for that purpose appointed their respective plenipotentiaries, that is to say, the President of the United States has appointed Nicholas P. Trist, a citizen of the United States, and the President of the Mexican Republic has appointed Don Luis Gonzaga Cuevas, Don Bernardo Coto, and Don Miguel Atristain, citizens of the said republic, who, after a reciprocal communication of their respective full powers, have, under the protection of Almighty God, the author of peace, arranged, agreed upon, and signed the following Treaty of Peace, Friendship, Limits, and Settlement between the United States of America and the Mexican Republic. Article 1. There shall be firm and universal peace between the United States of America and the Mexican Republic, and between their respective countries, territories, cities, towns, and people, without exception of places or persons. Article 2. Immediately upon the signature of this treaty, a convention shall be entered into between a commissioner or commissioners appointed by the General-in-Chief of the Forces of the United States, and such as may be appointed by the Mexican government, to the end that a provisional suspension of hostilities shall take place, and that, in the places occupied by the said forces, constitutional order may be re-established, as regards the political, administrative, and judicial branches, so far as this shall be permitted by the circumstances of military occupation. Article 3. Immediately upon the ratification of the present treaty by the government of the United States, orders shall be transmitted to the commanders of their land and naval forces, requiring the latter, provided this treaty shall then have been ratified by the government of the Mexican Republic, and the ratifications exchanged, immediately to desist from blockading any Mexican ports, and requiring the former, under the same condition, to commence, at the earliest moment practicable, withdrawing all troops of the United States then in the interior of the Mexican Republic. 2 points that shall be selected by common agreement, at a distance from the seaports not exceeding 30 leagues, and such evacuation of the interior of the Republic shall be completed with the least possible delay, the Mexican government hereby binding itself to afford every facility in its power for rendering the same convenient to the troops on their march and in their new positions, and for promoting a good understanding between them and the inhabitants. In like manner, orders shall be dispatched to the persons in charge of the custom houses at all ports occupied by the forces of the United States, requiring them, under the same condition, immediately to deliver possession of the same to the persons authorized by the Mexican government to receive it, together with all bonds and evidence of debt for duties on importations and on exportations, not yet fallen due. Moreover, a faithful and exact account shall be made out, showing the entire amount of all duties on imports and on exports, collected at such custom houses, or elsewhere in Mexico, by authority of the United States, from and after the day of the ratification of this treaty by the government of the Mexican Republic, and also an account of the cost of collection, and such entire amount, deducting only the cost of collection, shall be delivered to the Mexican government, at the city of Mexico, within 3 months after the exchange of ratifications. The evacuation of the capital of the Mexican Republic by the troops of the United States, in virtue of the above stipulation, shall be completed in 1 month after the orders there stipulated for shall have been received by the commander of said troops, or sooner if possible. Article 4. Immediately after the exchange of ratifications of the present treaty, all castles, forts, territories, places, and possessions which have been taken or occupied by the forces of the United States during the present or within the limits of the Mexican Republic as about to be established by the following article, shall be definitely restored to the said Republic, together with all the artillery, arms, apparatus of war, munitions, and other public property, which were in the said castles and forts, when captured, and which shall remain there at the time when this treaty shall be duly ratified by the government of the Mexican Republic. To this end, immediately upon the signature of this treaty, orders shall be dispatched to the American officers commending such castles and forts, securing against the removal or destruction of any such artillery, arms, apparatus of war, munitions, or other public property. The city of Mexico, within the inner line of entrenchments surrounding the said city, is comprehended in the above stipulation, as regards the restoration of artillery, apparatus of war, and c. the final evacuation of the territory of the Mexican Republic by the forces of the United States shall be completed in 3 months from the said exchange of ratifications, or sooner if possible, the Mexican government hereby engaging, as in the foregoing article, to use all means in its power for facilitating such evacuation, and rendering it convenient to the troops, and for promoting a good understanding between them and the inhabitants. If, however, the ratification of this treaty by both parties should not take place in time to allow the embarkation of the troops of the United States to be completed before the commencement of the sickly season at the Mexican ports on the Gulf of Mexico, in such case a friendly arrangement shall be entered into between the General-in-Chief of the said troops and the Mexican government, whereby healthy and otherwise suitable places, at a distance from the ports not exceeding 30 leagues, shall be designated for the residence of such troops as may not yet have embarked until the return of the healthy season, and the space of time here referred to as comprehending the sickly season shall be understood to extend from the 1st day of May to the 1st day of November. All prisoners of war taken on either side, on land or sea, shall be restored as soon as practicable after the exchange of ratifications of this treaty. It is also agreed that if any Mexican should now be held as captives by any savage tribe within the limits of the United States as about to be established by the following article, the government of the said United States will exact the release of such captives and cause them to be restored to their country. Article 5. The boundary line between the two republics shall commence in the Gulf of Mexico, 3 leagues from land, opposite the mouth of the Rio Grande, otherwise called Rio Bravo del Norte, or opposite the mouth of its deepest branch, if it should have more than one branch emptying directly into the sea. From thence up the middle of that river, following the deepest channel, where it has more than one, to the point where it strikes the southern boundary of New Mexico, thence westwardly along the whole southern boundary of New Mexico, which runs north of the town called Paso, to its western termination, thence northward, along the western line of New Mexico, until it intersects the first branch of the river Gila, or if it should not intersect any branch of that river, then to the point on the said line nearest to such branch, and thence in a direct line, to the same, thence down the middle of the said branch, and of the said river, until it empties into the Rio Colorado, thence across the Rio Colorado, following the division line between Upper and Lower California, to the Pacific Ocean. The southern and western limits of New Mexico, mentioned in the article, are those laid down in the map entitled Map of the United Mexican States, as organized and defined by various acts of the Congress of said republic, and constructed according to the best authorities. Revised edition. Published in New York in 1847 by J. Disternell, of which map a copy is added to this treaty, bearing the signatures and seals of the undersigned plenipotentiaries, and, in order to preclude all difficulty in tracing upon the ground the limits separating Upper from Lower California, it is agreed that the said limit shall consist of a straight line drawn from the middle of the Rio Gila, where it unites with the Colorado, to a point on the coast of the Pacific Ocean, distant 1 marine league due south of the southernmost point of the port of San Diego. According to the plan of said port made in the year 1782 by Don Juan Pantoja, second sailing master of the Spanish fleet, and published at Madrid in the year 1802, in the Atlas to the voyage of the schooners Sutil and Mexicana, of which plan a copy is herunto added, signed and sealed by the respective plenipotentiaries.